Imagine, if you will, flying all the way across that vast ocean, multiple hours in the sky, to visit the so-called land of the free for a little vacation, only to be stopped by federal agents while attempting to make your way through customs and then harassed as if you're on some kind of terrorist watch list. You get detained in a separate area away from the rest of the public. You have intrusive and intense questions lobbed at you about drug trafficking, threats, terrorism, and so on. And then, to top it all off, the officers demand access to your phone, your most personal device with all of your family contacts, your social media accounts, your entire photo library, and so on. Now, your reaction is, of course, no! What the hell? I'm literally coming here on vacation from Norway, a founding NATO country. You have zero reason to believe that I'm involved in any of the things that you're asking about, and I'd prefer if you didn't search my phone. The agents then threaten you with substantial fines and jail time if you don't hand over that phone. So finally, you give up, you relinquish your device, and then the unthinkable happens. The jig is up. They've got you dead to rights because when they open up your phone and they start flipping through it, they see this.
Yep, that's JD Vance. Bald, baby-like, staring these Homeland Security agents right in the face. And they are just so infuriated that you know that your vacation has suddenly come to an end before it even started. Welcome to Trump's America, where instead of little snot-nosed kids asking if you've got any games on your phone, a bunch of snot-nosed college dropouts with badges are asking if you got any memes on your phone.
Hey, you got any memes on your phone?
And when they discover one of the most popular and hilarious memes of the past year, memes that spread like wildfire across the internet through thousands of variations and shares across social media, you have now committed some sort of crime worthy of immediate deportation back to your country of origin. How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you make fun of our chubby little prince, our Appalachian pride, our smug little opportunist? You didn't even say thank you, did you? Did you know that he sacrificed all of his morals so that he could squirm his way to the top of politics in order to do Peter Thiel's bidding once the old man croaks? Have some respect for our dainty little dandy who gets his widow feelings hurt anytime someone makes fun of him for looking the way he does, or for his love of having sex with furniture.
Yeah.
Get your ass back to Norway.
Here in America, we love when our politicians make sweet, sweet love to those very sexy pieces of furniture. How dare that couch look like that?
They don't call it cushion for the pushing for nothing.
He makes it literal. Now, in the days that have passed since the story broke, the Department of Homeland Security has come up with a different excuse for why they kicked this 21-year-old kid out of the country and back to Norway, but their excuse is equally stupid and upsetting. And we'll get to it in a second. But the fact that having a bald baby JD Vance meme on this kid's phone seems to have at least played a part in why he was denied entry. And by turning this guy away, the Department of Homeland Security has undoubtedly dealt another blow to our already diminishing tourism industry at a time where a lot of cities, states, hotels, restaurants, and attractions would really love if people weren't scared to come and visit.
Yeah, it's if you don't live in the U.S., don't come.
Why are you coming?
It's not worth all of the trouble of like booking an entire vacation if there's a chance they can just arbitrarily not let you in.
And at the very
Don't
least,
do it. There's plenty of other better places in the world to visit.
before the agents found some reason to turn this guy away, imagine you've done absolutely nothing wrong, which he still, in my opinion, did nothing wrong. But imagine you are a fucking saint, and they just harass you for 6 hours because you're coming from a different country.
Yeah, Norway.
Oh, geez.
Something's up here. We can't just be letting Norwegians walk in.
They're going to come here and tell everyone about taxpayer-funded education and healthcare, and we cannot have that.
Can't have it.
So this is, of course, traveling here and getting harassed. It's on top of the chance that, you could just get shot by being in America. So you now run the risk of flying multiple hours across the world just to get backroomed and interrogated like you got a file registered on Interpol for espionage or something. Then, after taking time away from school, work, or family, spending hundreds, if not thousands, on flights, lodging, and more, you just get sent back home for reasons that are both confusing and infuriating.
And kind of funny, too.
Yeah, well, the added bonus here being that the JD Vance meme has been given new life through the Streisand effect to a ton of normie Europeans who now have to see it on their screens and newspapers as another reason of why you shouldn't visit the United States right now.
They've made this meme more powerful
Than it ever has before.
It's And like, I know JD Vance has been pretending to be amused by it this whole time. It's got to be weird for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good at hiding it, but the entire world, not just the entire country, the entire world mostly knows him through a bunch of grotesque, bizarre memes of him looking very strange.
We didn't bring it up recently, but did you see the press conference where when he did come to LA and no one had paid attention to him, and he referred to Senator Alex Padilla as Jose Padilla?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's Spanish names. Who can tell them apart?
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway, here's just one example where the meme and the situation were explained in the Irish Parliament when Ivana Bocic, leader of the Labour Party, showed the meme while asking for new travel guidance to anyone wishing to visit the United States.
Unthinkable in a Western democracy. This week, a young Norwegian tourist detained by ICE at Newark Airport and sent back to Oslo. Why? He had this meme on his phone, Minister. A meme depicting Vice President JD Vance as a baby. I mean, extraordinary, extraordinary. That a young person with this amusing meme on their phone depicting a public person, that this would be used as an excuse to detain him for 5 hours and then deport him back to Oslo. So, Minister, I welcome the Taoiseach's commitment to raise this serious issue with the US ambassador.
Great job, everyone. Aging politicians around the world are now printing out giant JD Vance memes and having to explain them to the rest of the modern world. What a slam dunk.
We've done it, everyone. I did it. Anytime someone has to print out a meme to show it off is just perfect. Yeah. Not even an iPad, just really printing it out and being like, everyone take a look at this. Now let me explain. First off, yes, it's hilarious. This is the Vice President of the United States looking like a big fat baby with rosy cheeks.
Is it AI generated? Is it real? We don't know.
Also, the guy who made it was like, well, I guess I kind of feel bad. I really didn't think anyone was going to get sent back to their country because they had something I created on their phone.
It's too powerful.
Yeah.
But with more on the initial story, here's the Daily Beast. Mads Mikkelsen.
Not the actor. Not the actor.
I guess it's just a common...
Maybe that's why they were like, hold on.
Mads Mikkelsen, the actor, is Danish. This is a Norwegian Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
It's probably pronounced completely different.
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen, 21, told his hometown newspaper Nordlys that he was subjected to abuse of power and harassment by officials at Newark Liberty International Airport. Mikkelsen claims that immigration officials stopped him for questioning and quizzed him about drug trafficking, terrorist plots, and right-wing extremism, all of which he said was totally without reason. Oh, no, you should have said you love right-wing extremism.
They would have let you in. That was the trick question.
Yeah.
They were like, they do like 2 things that might get you kicked out, and then they give you a freebie.
I'm not a fan of drug trafficking, but right-wing extremism, yeah, I'm pretty into that, actually.
All right, Mads, we're going to leave...
We are being replaced.
We're going to leave one right-wing extremism here on the table, and we're going to leave for a little bit. And if we come back and it's still there, well, we're going to let you into the country.
He says he was placed in a holding cell. They took me to a room with several armed guards where I had to hand over my shoes, mobile phone, and backpack, he told Nordlys. Next, Mikkelsen claims that officials threatened to imprison him or fine him $5,000 if he did not grant them access to his phone, so he did. He said that is when agents found a meme on his device that showed the vice president's face, digitally altered to make him chubbier, bald, and cartoonish, that became popular after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the Oval Office in February. He claimed they also signaled disapproval to a photo of him with a homemade wooden pipe.
Both pictures had been automatically saved to my camera roll from a chat app, but I really didn't think that these innocent pictures would put a stop to my entry into the country, Mikkelsen said. Mikkelsen claims he pleaded with agents that the photos were a joke, but they still searched him and forced him to give blood samples and document his fingerprints.
What the fuck?
It felt like I was a terrorist suspect where I was sitting, he said. I tried to pull myself together several times, but in the end, I just wanted to get home again. Mikkelsen told Nordlys he was traveling to the U.S. to visit friends in New York City and then in Austin, Texas. He also planned to visit multiple national parks with his mom, who he said planned to fly to the country and meet up with him at a later date. Mikkelsen did not say if he provoked immigration officers in some way. However, he did note that he was exhausted, having just deplaned a long flight across the Atlantic Ocean. I had traveled for 12 hours, slept poorly, and was physically and mentally completely exhausted even before they started questioning, he said. And all of that is ridiculous, even before they demanded that he turn over his phone or face fines and potential jail time. But like we said, the Department of Homeland Security is claiming that it wasn't the JD Vance memes on his phone that caused him to be denied entry. It was because he admitted to smoking weed once or twice in his life.
Marijuana, the substance that's legal in somewhat legal in more states than it is not at this point. What year is this? This is ridiculous.
It's obviously a bit odd considering, like Elliot said, weed is largely legal or at the very least decriminalized or medical in large swaths of the country. And based on all available reporting that we've seen and statements from DHS, he didn't have any drugs on him, nor was he high at the time of questioning. He'd simply smoked weed at some time in his life.
This is like, I mean, this would make sense if you were trying to get into like Dubai or Saudi Arabia.
Even then it would be like, okay, I smoked weed a couple of years ago. Like what?
That, like, it's almost more ridiculous.
Than the JD Vance. Yeah.
Like, at least the JD Vance meme, like, you can kind of see their logic. They're just power tripping. Like, you gotta love America.
Oh, yeah, you fucking make fun of our politicians? How about we don't allow you into the country if you think you're so funny?
Yeah.
But the weed thing is just, it's like they had to get him on something, and they saw the memes, and they're like, all right, well, what else can we do? He had a fucking homemade wooden pipe. Just like, there it is. There it is. We got him. Anyways, here's the Independent with the follow-up.
Customs and Border Protection has confirmed that no, agents did not stop a Norwegian traveler who showed them a meme of a bald Vice President JD Vance. Fact check, false, the CBP wrote on X. Mads Mikkelsen was not detained entry for any memes or political reasons. It was for his admitted drug use.
Still dumb.
After the agents looked through his phone, he said he was denied entry to the United States and was sent back to Norway. The reports picked up enough steam in headlines and on social media to justify CBP putting out a statement denying parts of the story. Homeland Security Deputy Secretary Tricia McLaughlin called the story false and BS in a post on X. Like the CBP announcement, she insisted that Mikkelsen was denied entry after admitting to using drugs. Mikkelsen does acknowledge that he was questioned about his use of drugs during the incident. He said DHS agents saw a second photo on his phone, which was a wooden pipe that he'd made for himself. This is an enterprising young man. Most youths just go and pick an apple.
That's what I was going to say.
Jam a screwdriver in it.
Could you imagine
This
if
man went into the wood shop and he whittled himself a pipe. That's the kind of go-getterness we need in this country.
It's like, imagine seeing the photo of like an apple on there. Like, I remember like being on tour and you would know who smoked weed because you would see them go to the catering early in the morning, walking away with apples.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, could you imagine? This is insane.
I never smoked out of an apple the entire time.
Oh, you should try.
The entire time I was smoking weed on a way too much basis.
Yeah.
Multiple times a day. Never had an apple. Never in my life.
You haven't lived and or almost died until you've smoked out of a crushed can of Coca-Cola.
That I have done.
That's weird that you haven't done an apple and you've done that.
There was just never a reason. There was always a pipe or rolling papers around.
Yeah.
Except for one time where there wasn't, but there was a can.
I guess, you could say, like, if you did see the apple bong on his photo, you'd be like, well, that's as close to original sin as we've seen. It's a forbidden apple that you smoked out of.
Speaking of apples, one of my friends from college, he was like back home one year for Christmas, and he was smoking out of an apple in his car, and a cop pulled up on him. This was like before it was legal in California, and he got ticketed or whatever. But he said the funniest part, the part that was like he was like trying so hard not to laugh, but he couldn't help himself, was the cop took the apple and like smashed it on the ground.
Bam!
Destroyed the smoking device.
As if he smashed like a 6-foot bong or something. Yeah. Ugh.
Anyway, in a more recent interview with the Norwegian outlet Nordlys, he confirmed that upon questioning, he admitted to using cannabis in Mexico and Germany. It's legal in both places, so in my mind, it was irrelevant, he said. It's a legal substance where it was taken, just like alcohol. He also claimed they used the photo of a wooden pipe on his phone to claim he was in possession of drug paraphernalia as an additional cause for removal from the country.
No, that's like an NFT. That is registered to you.
Yeah. Wild times, folks.
Yeah.
Like literally having a picture of drugs on your phone.
Not even drugs.
Yeah.
A wooden pipe that you allegedly carved yourself.
Yeah, he could be smoking tobacco out of that.
Yeah. Yes, you could.
Yeah, that's crazy. A photo of a pipe on your phone. That is drug possession.
That's Popeye got stopped at the border because he had that corncob pipe.
Yeah, what are you smoking out of that, Popeye?
Yeah, spinach. Sure.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, spinach really sets you off.
Devil's spinach.
That's right.
But hey, at least the whole world is getting to see how fucking stupid we are here.
Yeah.
and what our big, dumb, bald vice president actually looks like when you don't say thank you or please.
Please. Anyway, speaking of pointless and stupid deportations that make our country and those who run it look absolutely ghoulish, would you believe, of course you do, but would you believe that there's already at least one U.S. lawmaker attempting to deport New York City mayoral primary winner Zohran Mamdani?
Deport him to where? Uganda? He was born in Uganda.
Yeah, well, that's where he's going, Elliot. Now, obviously, you do believe it because it's true and we live in hell. Tennessee Republican Congressman Andy Ogles has decided to send an official letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi where he demands that Mamdani be denaturalized and deported immediately.
On what grounds?
And this is, of course, very rich coming from Andy Ogles, considering he's been accused of faking his college degree and parts of his own career when local news outlets looked into it after he was elected to Congress back in 2023.
Yeah, he kind of flew under the radar because George Santos was doing the same thing at the same time, but like on a much larger scale.
Yeah, more egregious.
But like, yeah, Andy Ogles like bullshitted everything about his CV.
Yeah, he's also the guy that had the photo with his whole family where they all had automatic weapons for Christmas.
You're going to have to be more specific.
Yeah,
that's
right.
like every Republican family.
True. And of course, this is all in addition to a handful of campaign finance discrepancies that he has faced in recent years. So I think Dolph protests too much.
We should deport Andy Ogles.
That's right.
Send him to Uganda.
But yeah, go off, you piece of shit. And by the way, in the tweet announcing his formal letter to the Attorney General, he got real racist with it, and he called the mayoral candidate Zohran Little Muhammad Mamdani.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but
Little Muhammad. That's like...
They're trying to come up with a name that works for the Republican Party that makes everyone really racist against him.
I don't understand, like... What's the joke?
There's no joke.
He already,
this is very
he
serious.
already has a very like foreign-sounding name. You don't need to say Little Muhammad.
Yeah, it's like how Trump would go Barack Hussein Obama.
But he doesn't. But Zohran Mamdani already has this.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you don't need to add Little Muhammad.
Yeah. God. Here's the Hill with more.
Representative Andy Ogles suggested New York Democratic mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani should be deported and denaturalized ahead of the November election. Zohran Little Muhammad Mamdani is an anti-Semitic socialist communist who will destroy the great city of New York, Ogles wrote in a Thursday post on the social platform X. He needs to be deported, which is why I am calling for him to be subject to denaturalization proceedings, he added. The Tennessee lawmaker attached his letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi in the Post, urging her to denaturalize Mamdani, citing a chapter from the U.S. Code that outlines the revocation of citizenship for individuals who willfully misrepresent or conceal material support for terrorism. Oh my fucking God. According to public reports, including a June 21st, 2025 New York Post article, Mr. Mamdani expressed open solidarity with individuals convicted of terrorism-related offenses prior to becoming a U.S. citizen. Specifically, he rapped, "Free the Holy Land 5, my guys," Ogles wrote in the letter. What?
Yeah.
So the claim he's making is that in one of his old rap songs, which that's cool.
Yeah.
Rapping, I didn't know that about him. Mamdani makes one reference to the Holy Land 5, which is a group that was convicted during the Bush administration for raising money for Palestine. And there's actually the podcast A-Lab, All Lawyers Are Bastards, has a very good episode on this case, and it's fucking infuriating.
Yeah, they got railroaded.
These guys are in prison for life for something that just does not seem, you know, I can understand maybe giving them a slap on the wrist here, but like they treated them sending money to Palestine as if they were literally like
funding terrorism.
Terror acts of terrorism. But they were accused of funneling money to Hamas, which we probably don't have to tell you that any money going to Palestine during the Bush administration would have been seen as funding terrorism, regardless of whether or not that was true.
Yeah, this was like not the first round, but like one of the big rounds of Islamophobia following 9/11 and Operation Iraqi Freedom, and it was a bizarre time where they were going for easy wins here.
But yeah, I mean, the first case against them ended in a mistrial.
So they found a jury that would convict.
Yeah, they did eventually get him, and it's one of the most infuriating cases.
And he made one reference in a rap song, which, by the way, protected by the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Either way, Republicans are seizing on anything they can get to destroy Zohran, and this is probably just the first of countless attacks we'll see in the lead up to November's election. It's gonna get really fucking weird.
It's gonna get real racist.
It'll be very interesting to see which Which of Zohran Mamdani's fellow Democrats come to his aid, and which ones don't?
Cuomo had a little back and forth today where some of his reps said that he wasn't going to join the race, and then he kind of went, no, I didn't say that. I think I'll still run. And then a video came out because he has one of those like the Beast Dodge Challengers or Chargers or whatever, like the very loud.
The one he drives in school zones.
Yes.
Really fast.
That one. There's a new video of him just blowing through a stop sign and almost like hitting someone in a crosswalk.
Oh, he has the Beast. That car is so fucking obnoxious.
It's annoying. It's so loud.
There was like one kid in like Seattle a year ago or so who had one of those, and it was like the entire Seattle subreddit was like tracking this guy.
Yeah, I think he eventually like got caught. Yeah, they're the most annoying automobile.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild. Andrew Cuomo's like 70 years old. What are you doing?
He has to
get
like,
a sensible car, you freak.
Yeah, and like the newest video is just him blowing through a stop sign and just almost hitting someone going through a crosswalk. But look, let's pivot a little bit, because if you thought the administration was furious about their failure to obliterate Iran's nuclear development capabilities before, how dare you? How dare you claim we didn't do that? You are in for a rude awakening, because today, we can only assume that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is in a hell of a lot of trouble with Trump. After like the failed birthday party and after not actually obliterating Iran's nuclear capabilities.
And the signal chats. And
all of this stuff, like Trump, I would assume based on how many people were told to leave from his first administration that Hegseth is probably...
He's on thin ice.
And so he had to go out real fierce today in order to make himself, or get himself back in the good graces of Trump. But yeah... He seems like he's probably in a lot of trouble based on the way he acted during a press conference early Thursday morning, where he repeatedly praised the president and then the mission, while very, very angrily lashing out at reporters in a way that is so unhinged, we simply have to show you the clips rather than tell you about them. Now, between Hegseth and Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, we are well beyond comparisons to authoritarian regimes of the past. We are creating references that people will undoubtedly use in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like you could go to, like, Vietnam or China, and the official, like, PR reps for the government would come off
less aggressive,
less like, aggressively nationalist than what we currently have here.
It feels like maybe they were more subtle about it. Now, keep in mind that the story has gone from complete obliteration to some stuff has been destroyed to really we have no idea what has actually been destroyed to it probably only set Iran's nuclear development capabilities back a few months, and that's all in just the past couple of days. And when Trump made his initial statement alongside Vance, Rubio, and Hegseth, he did so with zero actual intel aside from satellite images. And that the intelligence community, they went on to spend the following days walking back that assessment after Trump, mere hours after it took place, was like completely obliterated. And that word in particular seemed to be the one that he demanded everyone say.
Obliterate.
So before we show you the clips, which again have to be seen to be believed, here's some reporting on it from Politico.
A combative Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth forcefully defended the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear program, calling them a resounding success, and attacking the media for reporting on early intelligence assessments suggesting the strikes may not have fully destroyed Iran's enrichment facilities. Hegseth, a former Fox News contributor, used a Thursday morning press conference to deliver a blistering and extended attack on the press, lashing out at CNN, the New York Times, and other outlets. In his rebuke, he accused them of distorting a preliminary Defense Intelligence Agency report that suggested the strikes only set back Iran's nuclear program by months, and blasted them for what he framed as a bias against President Donald Trump. Hegseth echoed Trump's claim that the mission resulted in a total obliteration of Iran's nuclear program, and framed questions about the outcome of the strikes as an affront to the pilots who carried them out.
Oh, I'm sorry. You must hate our troops.
Why do you hate pilots? Are you jealous that they get to fly planes and you don't?
Kinda. Yeah, kinda. Although, with enough budget from a certain big media company, we could also become pilots. They don't let just anybody up in that cockpit.
It's just very funny to me, like, every single person in this administration got the memo that, like, you got to make them feel bad for making the pilots cry.
Which, like, I doubt the pilots give a shit. Also, like, especially with the outcome, they did their job.
They have nothing to feel ashamed about.
Yeah,
they didn't build the fucking bombs.
It's bizarre to be like, oh, and you must hate the troops, because
No one's saying they did anything other than what they were told to do.
Yeah, exactly.
What we're saying is what you told them to do did not actually accomplish what you're saying it did.
Yeah, it is kind of fascinating to watch a lot of these weird stereotypes that have actually worked successfully in the past, like claiming people hate the troops, claiming that someone is anti-Semitic, all of these things being used in such frequency and in situations that are so over the top and ridiculous that they have kind of lost.
Yeah, it's just just nakedly cynical.
Yeah. Anyways, they add that preliminary intelligence reportedly concluded that core components of Iran's nuclear program remain intact and that its uranium stockpile was moved before the strike. Hegseth didn't directly rebut any of its conclusions, but noted that it had been labeled low confidence and that the press had exaggerated its significance. And there's obviously a lot of guests on the news channels over the past 2 days or so, and a lot of people who worked in these agencies prior were like, yeah, every initial report that has ever been made has low confidence on it because it's the initial report. All of them say that. You can't just say that it's wrong because it has that listed on it. That's just how it comes as a document. It continues, the White House has launched an investigation into how the classified assessment reached the press, with Hegseth confirming that the Pentagon and FBI are probing the breach. Hegseth said the report had been leaked because someone had an agenda to try to muddy the waters and make it look like this historic strike wasn't successful. Okay, buddy.
But that's what the document said. And you were saying something else. So
I'm sure the real truth's going to come out at any point in time.
I would say it was in the public interest to leak these documents because
turns out if you are actually worried about Iran having nuclear weapons, it seems like you really didn't do all that much. And I think Lindsey Graham's quote on this was kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth. We're like, all right, well, yeah, it's kind of messed up to say that this didn't work, but also if it didn't, we should probably make sure that we really make it work next time.
We're going to bomb Iran every weekend.
Yeah, until morale improves.
Yeah.
All right, now let's just get into the clips. Please enjoy while also realizing just how fucking unhinged this guy is and how it really appears as though he is on the verge of losing his position if he didn't go out there and publicly fight with journalists who are simply asking for clarifications on a mission that could have and still might drag us further into a prolonged conflict in the Middle East.
You see, we're here this morning because in hunting for scandals all the time, in trying to find wedges and spin stories, this press corps and the press corps miss historic moments. President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump. Because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it. Spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times? There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. How about we take a beat, recognize first the success of our warriors, hold them up, tell their stories, celebrate that, wave an American flag, be proud of what we accomplished.
Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally what the president says. I'm familiar.
I report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night, and in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that.
This man sounds like he needs a drink. Another drink.
Everyone constantly posts the pizza tracker at the Pentagon for when big things happen, and it's happened a lot in the past week and a half or 2 weeks. And my read on that is that Hegseth needs to sober up, and that's why they're getting him a lot of pizza.
Yeah, the carbs will soak up all that booze.
He definitely seems like a guy who would drive that beast Dodge Challenger or whatever as well.
Yeah, drive it
Right through the doors of the Pentagon. Hey, sorry, I thought it was 5 o'clock. I thought I was off the clock. I'm sorry. We got more shit to do tonight.
When he does inevitably lose his job, it's going to be a bender for the ages.
Whoo! Bars will love to see him coming.
He's going to fly into Las Vegas in an Apache helicopter.
He's going to single-handedly float the Vegas economy for at least a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to do things that the F1 race couldn't do.
But let's move on from politics to one of our favorite topics, shitty YouTubers getting their just desserts. And this time that dessert was arguably the last delicious In-N-Out milkshake they'll ever have, because one of our local burger joints has pressed charges on some stupid YouTubers / content creator for filming a prank on their property while posing as one of their employees. That's stolen valor.
That's right.
You got to earn that apron.
You got to earn that cap.
And yeah, they seem pretty goddamn serious about it.
And they should be based on this report.
Yeah. The In-N-Out is a weird company.
They make good food, but their politics are weird.
I would not want to cross them.
That's right.
And they've definitely crossed them here.
Yeah.
Here's the local outlet, KHTS, with more. On Easter Sunday, Brian Arnett, a YouTuber known for his prank content, filmed a video posing as an In-N-Out employee at the Valencia location, which was closed due to the holiday, spreading false and defamatory information about the company. According to the complaint filed by Rutan and Tucker, Arnett filmed himself at multiple In-N-Out locations, making false claims about contaminated food and making improper comments to customers while wearing counterfeit uniforms, then posted the videos to social media, reaching hundreds of thousands of viewers. You're just slandering a company worth a whole lot of money. What are you doing? They add that, among other comments, Arnett, while wearing an employee uniform, asked a befuddled customer, "I like watching my wife sleeping with other men. Is that something you would be interested in?" What the fuck? The customer declined. Arnett also had an accomplice posing as a customer pretend that the other man had discovered a condom in his meal bag, also making comments about alleged cockroaches infesting the restaurant. Since then, In-N-Out Burger has filed a cease and desist letter to have the videos removed, which was not done.
No. And cleanliness and freshness, they're pretty good at In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Especially relative to any other fast food restaurant.
No, they run that shit like the Navy.
And that's why they get paid substantially well.
Yeah, it is like the ultimate case study, and like if you pay your employees like well above market rate, like you will have your shit will be tip top.
Yeah, and you use real ingredients, everything's gonna be great.
Yeah, everything is.
I don't like the Bible verses on the cups and stuff
they're
like
hard
that.
They're hard to find. They make them hard to find.
Yeah.
And all of their ingredients are within driving distance.
Yeah, so they don't have to be frozen.
That's why although they have expanded quite a bit since the daughter took over the company a decade ago.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't like Texans getting a taste of my In-N-Out.
Absolutely not.
You have that shitty Whataburger. You can keep it.
Yep. As of June 24th, after the lawsuit was filed, the videos were no longer available on Arnett's social media accounts. On June 20th, In-N-Out Burgers filed a trademark infringement and defamation lawsuit against Arnett in the California Central District Court. Quote, "For over 7 decades, we have worked hard to create This is so funny when they're just like, they're bashing a YouTuber who did a prank, because like, I just haven't seen
They took it very personally.
Yes, they did. Like, saying that their food contaminated is a very, like, defamatory statement. So yeah, they really
have worked hard.
Yeah.
You go there, you do have to wait in line for about 40 minutes, but they're moving that shit fast.
That's right.
They're serving thousands of people a day.
Hell, after reading this, I'm kind of feeling hungry for an In-N-Out burger myself.
Yeah, we used to work kind of near one, and
now we're in an In-N-Out desert.
Once a month or so, I'd be like, fuck it. I got audiobooks to listen to. I'm gonna wait 40 minutes in that fucking line to get a double-double. But now I haven't even been near an In-N-Out in a while.
That's right. Okay, back to their statement. For over 7 decades, we have worked hard to create a welcoming and enjoyable experience for every customer who visits us, said Arnie Wensinger, Chief Legal and Business Officer for In-N-Out Burger. Recently, we have seen an increase in online media personalities who have chosen to play pranks or practical jokes that are designed to embarrass, humiliate, or upset our customers, their families, and our associates.
And the Lord.
These individuals have engaged in behavior that includes deception, trespass, lewdness, and other actions that have been posted on social media for their personal and monetary gain at the expense of our customers and the In-N-Out Burger brand. By filing this lawsuit, we are putting all such individuals on notice.
We're on notice.
That In-N-Out Burger will aggressively pursue all legal rights against these individuals going forward. This guy is going to be made an example of.
Yeah.
He's going to be the first person on death row in California in years.
You not fuck with In-N-Out.
Absolutely not. Straight to jail. Straight to fucking jail. Ugh.
It does sound good though right now.
I know.
And I like the fries. You can.
Yeah, you know what?
I know you already wrote a comment. You already wrote a comment. Boo, the fries suck. I don't care.
Guess
I like
what?
them.
They cut them right in front of you.
Yeah.
You're just tasting freshness and you're not used to it.
Yeah, you're used to eating like frozen shit that's been in a freezer for like weeks, months, years. Who knows?
Yeah, fucking brought up to temp in just nasty oil.
You go in and out. They're right there behind the counter. Stick an entire russet potato in there. Just chunk, chunk. Yeah.
Dude's got an arm the size of what you haven't seen. That's right. I salute our brave In-N-Out employees, and I think they get paid well, and they deserve it. And also, In-N-Out proves that like everyone can pay their employees very well because In-N-Out does great, and they're not on a living wage.
And you can't call them woke because they're not. They're very weird Christians, actually.
Yeah.
They just understand the market value of paying your customers more than they would get paid at other places.
That's right.
Anyway.
Hungry? Well, we don't have a sponsor. We're almost to the end of the video anyway.
But speaking of shitty content creators, the girls are fighting. That's right. The Liver King is apparently so angry at Joe Rogan that he's sending credible threats to the podcaster, which have resulted in the Liver King, who we discovered not long ago is the steroid king.
Yeah. He's just taking human growth hormones.
Yeah, it's that you want to look like that, just take a bunch of fucking semi-legal supplements. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Liver King has been arrested for potential terrorism.
What did he have? A wooden pipe on his phone?
And he also received a restraining order. So since TMZ is now the go-to news source for influencer drama, here's a bit of their reporting on the subject. Liver King. What's his fucking name?
They say it in a second. Nobody cares about
I'm not going to call a grown man Liver King.
What's his gamer tag?
Liver King was arrested Tuesday evening by the Austin Police Department on a charge of making a terroristic threat over his recent social media threats against Joe Rogan, TMZ can confirm. Law enforcement tells TMZ they obtained an arrest warrant after they contacted the former Fear Factor host, who said, that's such a weird way to describe Joe Rogan. He hasn't hosted that show for like 20 years. It was like, it's
almost a dig at him.
It was a big deal, but he's known for his podcast.
Yeah.
Like a former news radio cast member, Joe Rogan. What? Who said he's never had any interaction with Johnson. I guess that's Liver King.
Yeah.
And considered the post to be threatening. Monday, Liver King posted a video directly calling out Joe Rogan saying, "Man to man, I'm picking a fight with you. I have no training in jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt. You should dismantle me. But I'm picking a fight with you. Your rules. I'll come to you whenever you're ready." That's it. That's it. That's like what Elon said to Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, but then he showed up. The 47-year-old influencer, reportedly a Texas resident, kept posting a series of bizarre videos showing his arrival in Austin, making it clear he was set on fighting Rogan. You know, Musk did do this too, because wasn't he rolling through the neighborhood looking for Zuckerberg?
Yeah, and then like live streaming.
Are you saying that, by comparison, Elon Musk is a terrorist?
He is a terrorist, and he is, hey, Austin police. There's another terrorist.
Yeah. Apparently, the Liver King even acknowledged that he could be arrested. It appears to have all come to a head in a recent video where Liver King, wearing a maroon hoodie and pants, and looking awful, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think he looks good.
He looks like a piece of chewed up leather.
Yeah. You have a gorilla physique.
Yeah.
Your gut is like protruding. I just learned this recently, but the reason these guys, Rogan included, the reason they all have like pot bellies is because when you take HGH, it makes your like stomach and like all of your internal organs also get bigger.
Yeah.
And they have nowhere to escape except through your belly area. So that's why they all have bellies.
All right. Well, they In a video, he is seen being handcuffed by law enforcement officers and placed in a police vehicle. Moments earlier, he's seen being allowed to hug his wife and kids before he's escorted out by law enforcement.
Sorry, kids.
Your daddy had to make a couple threats. They updated the reporting to indicate that the Liverman has now been released, but is being forced to, quote, stay at least 200 yards away from Rogan and his family members, and there's a no contact order as well, so no hitting him up over the phone or on social media either. Liver King can't possess any weapons, and within a week of his release, he needs to go in for a mental health evaluation. And honestly, we haven't followed this guy or Rogan really much at all recently, so if anything, it seems like a pretty successful marketing stunt by the Liver Eater, considering we hadn't heard his name in quite some time until he started threatening Rogan. It seems like nobody talking about me, the Liver King.
Yeah, it's like a rap beef. It's like,
Yeah.
how do I raise my profile? I just pick a fight with someone more famous than me.
Yeah, and then show up and get arrested and, pay the bail and your name's in the news. And for his part, Rogan indicated that, I don't know, the guy's probably on drugs or dealing with a mental health issue, which he's probably right about.
Yeah, have you seen him? Anyway, we'll leave it there, and we can assure you, we have been tracking. Speaking of Austin, we have been tracking all of the Tesla robotaxi failures that have been happening since their debut this week. And there are plenty of examples and firsthand experiences that have made their way online. So rather than jump the gun like Elon does, we're going to hold off on the failures of those robotaxis until Weekly Weird News, in case more harrowing situations take place.
Because every day there seems to be new evidence that these things should not be on the road.
My favorite thing about this, and really everything with Tesla going back years, is it's all posted by Tesla's biggest fans,
Yep.
who cannot help but film every moment they spend in their Teslas, including all the numerous times shit
It was a
goes wrong.
terrifying, death-defying experience, but I made it to my location.
Still the best cab ride I've ever taken. Anyway, we'll get to that tomorrow, but for now, please like the video, leave a comment describing the JD Vance meme that you would risk going to jail for.
Yeah, which one's good enough for you to go to jail over?
Or just, any comment, literally anything.
Yeah, we love it.
One more thing, though, this episode wasn't sponsored, so we're gonna pay.
Please!
If you have it in your hearts or in your wallets to support our show, it's as simple as clicking the join button or the thanks button underneath the video, somewhere near the like button. I don't know, it's all down there.
You'll see it. Yeah, they got a lot of buttons now, but one of them is very important. It's called the join button. 'Cause that is a consistent...
Press most of them, but not all of them.
Yeah.
It literally helps keep the show going, and every time we mention it, we get 5 or 6 new members. So
Yeah, thanks.
if we ask you a few thousand more times, we'll be able to retire one day.
Way off in the future.
All right, that is all. Have a good day, and we will see you soon for some Weekly Weird News.
Other videos are up here over here now. Go watch them, and yeah, we'll be back before you know it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.